I understand the role. I understand that the power that we have as creatives and artists to, you know, kind of inspire other people and make change. You know, I get messages all the time from other trans people that are like,
youngsters
that message me on Instagram and say, oh my gosh, you know, you're such an inspiration, or oh my gosh, I see myself, and people who wanted to commit suicide. Like, it's real, it's a real thing. So I feel super privileged. It's a huge responsibility, and I'm proud to take that on any day. So
you're chosen.
So you get hit up on Instagram, you inspire people. How would you tell someone who's struggling, maybe homeless, maybe just not making ends meet, and they want to get to where you are? What was that journey like for you, from going homeless to Hollywood?
Well, when I got disowned by my family, that left me homeless in Chicago, and this was sort of getting into the winter, and so I was just kind of like searching for places to go. And someone said to me, they're like, you know, you should go to LA. You're very funny. You should just go and be like an actor, and it's warmer there. So I did. I did. It was cold in Chicago. And so I bought a plane ticket, and I came here with like $30. And yeah, I was homeless. I had no place to go. $30.
Courage.
Yep. And I lived in a shelter. So my first night here, I slept in the LGBT shelter, the center. You guys probably know what that is.
LGBT.
And yeah, and I lived there for about 30 days, and then I like transitioned. Like sometimes I was on the street, and like sometimes I didn't have a bed. But for me, like I always knew the first day that I got here, I said, God, give me a sign that this is where I'm supposed to be. And literally the night that I had landed, I had gotten an email that said, congratulations, you've been selected to be in this movie as a background extra.
How would you do that from Chicago?
Well, on Craigslist. Craigslist used to be like the spot for us actors back then.
Yeah.
And personals. But, you know. And so it used to be the place for actors to find like background work, audience work. And so that was my first gig. And so the second day that I was here in LA, I was on a movie set and doing background, and it was like 20 background extras, and they asked 3 of us to audition for a speaking line. And I was one of the 3. I didn't get it, but of course it went to somebody white. But I'm joking. And I didn't get it, but I just knew that was the sign from God that I was supposed to be here. And so in between that, I mean, I lived in shelters for about 2 years, but during that time I got myself into university, I studied theater.
Wow.
And literally those first 5 years were just spent working and getting fired from jobs because I couldn't get my ID changed, and my ID said male, and they would find out I was trans, and it was like trying to do that and get on my feet. And then about 2016 is when everything changed. 2015 was like the year I auditioned for American Idol. I made it like all the way to the end. I was supposed to be on the show, the first trans person on the show, and then that pulled the plug. Auditioned for a Lee Daniels project, got all the way down to the rope, didn't get it. And it was like, it was the year that everything felt so close. And then 2016 happened, and it was like 6 guest stars on primetime, and I don't know, it's just been like a journey ever since. So, I mean, I don't know, I tell people that it can happen. There's no roadmap to any of this. You know, if you just want to do it, you just have to believe that you can and do it and do the work. And so,
how much does your faith play a role? You mentioned God and praying.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been a little bit scarred from the church because of everything that I went through with them.
We gotta make sure that changes.
Yeah.
That's gotta change.
Yeah. And so, but my real personal relationship with God is really important. And so to me, I've always prayed. I've always listened to gospel and Christian music, and that's kind of what keeps me grounded. But yeah, it's always been this belief that, and Oprah said it, she said, I'm living in God's dream for me. And so
Say that again. Oprah said what?
She said, I'm living in God's dream for me. Oh. And that's really what I feel like. I feel like all of this happened because when I first transitioned, it was about, I just wanted to blend in. I just didn't want anybody to know. And when I came here, I just wanted to be famous. I just wanted to be a star, you know? And then it changed.
So you mentioned music. So music and American Idol, so music is a very important part of your inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay, is there someone in your journey that inspired you or some connection to?
Well, CeCe Winans is like my favorite artist of all time. If you listen to me sing, like I take all her stuff. And she's a gospel artist, and she's just great. And she was what really got me through high school when I was in foster care. It was like listening to her. And even to this day, so she's like my biggest inspiration music-wise.
Wow.
And I feel like God has taken me back because, you know, this year I got to go to New York and do the encores with Billy Porter.
Whoa!
And
That's big, girl. That's
big. So it's like I love music, and I feel like I'm getting to do both with what I'm doing. And I also did Empire, so you know, I love that I get to do both of the things I love.
Did you know you had such faith along the way?
No. There were times where I really hated God, and I really was like, you know, it looks great on the outside, but I'm not gonna sit here and act like.
Right.
Thank you.
Like there are times where I'm like, this trans, I wish I could just take it off. I wish I could just throw it away. I wish I was just a normal person. Yes. That every time I walk into a room, people don't look at me and be like, oh, that's the girl with the between her legs. Like that's the perception that I feel, and I feel like everybody thinks that, and you know, so there's some times where it's really hard.
You talked about being in the shelters for 2 years, and shelter life is not easy
At all.
And I'm curious as to how do you stay focused? Because you did a lot of things in that 2 years, because I think a lot of times people get caught up in trying to just survive that environment and lose sight of where they're trying to go. What was driving you?
I think it was the fact that I had no backup plan. You know, there was no family to go back home to, so it was like, I gotta make something happen here. So I remember seeing other people in the shelter that didn't do anything. They just took the resources and just didn't really use them. But for me, it was like I took advantage of the scholarship programs, and that's how I went to school. And you know, I was always like, I have to do this, and while I don't have to pay rent, you know, I might as well work as much as I can and save as much as I can so I can get my own place. So I really took advantage of, because there are a lot of resources out here that people don't know about. And I just always knew, I've always been very proactive. And so to me, I took advantage of that. So I never got distracted. And there, of course, there were things that happened in there. There were traumatizing things that happened. And you know, you just keep moving. I just always had this vision for myself. You know, I'll be the up there at the Oscars, like with my Oscar, and be like,
just
you know,
like Billy
I always
Porter,
knew this
right?
was gonna happen. I just didn't know when.
So Billy,
you know?